This is part 1 of the test number 2 corrections. Let's start with number 1. I'm going to write down the problem again. So I need to isolate the x, meaning I need to get the variable on one side and the constants on the other. I can start by adding 1 on both sides. That gives me 24 on this side. These two cancel. I can bring down my 8x and my negative 4x. The next step is to bring the 4x to the other side, because again the idea is to get the constants on one side and the variables on the other. So 8x plus 4x will give me 12x, which is equal to 24. Divide both sides by 12, so x is equal to 2. Another way you could have done this is by, if you really didn't know how to solve for x, is picking any of these numbers and plugging them into x right here. Clearly, if you plug in 2, 8 times 2 is 16, minus 1 is 15. Now, 4 times 2 is 8, and 23 minus 8 is also 15. That gives you a true statement. Now, let's do number 2. I'm going to copy down the problem again. Now, I can do something on the right side here. On the right side, I can go ahead and combine like terms. 3x minus an x gives me 2x. And bring down my positive 2. If I have $4 and I owe you 6, then I still owe you 2. And I bring down my 3x. Now, again, we're back to similar to number 1. Now we have to get the variables on one side and the constants on the other side. I can do this by adding 2 and adding 2. Therefore, I get 4 on this side. These two cancel. Then I can go ahead and subtract 2x and subtract 2x. So now I get from here 1x. These two cancel, so I get 1x is equal to 4. So my correct answer is A. Number 3. Here is a distributive property. So if I distribute this times the d, my 5 times the 4, and the same thing here on the right side, I'm going to get this. 5d plus 20 is equal to 70 minus 14. Now, we're back to these kind of problems on like number 2. I can go ahead and subtract 20 on both sides, or I can add 14 on both sides. It gives me the same answer. So let's actually go ahead and add 14 on both sides. I get 34 on this side. Bring down the 5d. These cancel. Now I can go ahead and subtract 5d. I get 2d on this side is equal to 34. My last step is to divide both sides by 2. So d is equal to 17. Therefore, my answer is D. Number 4. Solving for the variable again. Now this time we have an inequality. So therefore I have to go ahead and keep some things in mind, like for example, if you ever divide by a negative, my inequality symbol changes. Or let's just keep on solving the problem. So if you owe 5y and you owe 2y, then you owe me 7y. But let me, before I go ahead and do that, let me copy down the problem. So again, these two give you negative 7y. Bring down the 14 and my inequality symbol. Now, I can go ahead and subtract 14 on both sides. If you owe me 19 and you owe me 14, then you owe me 33. Bring down the negative 7y. Now, listen to what I'm about to say. Again, you have to remember, whenever you divide by a negative, your inequality symbol flips. So I'm about to divide by negative 7. Therefore, y is now less than or equal to a negative divided by negative is a positive, and 33 divided by 7, we can leave it like that. So here is my answer. Therefore, my answer is C. 5, we can go ahead and, this is an easier problem. Let me copy the problem down first. So variables on one side, I can go ahead and add 6y, so I get 15y on the right side. I bring down my negative 34. Now I can go ahead and add 34 on my right side and on my left side. So I get 45 is less than 15y. I divide both sides by 15. So y is greater than 3 because 45 divided by 15 is 3. So therefore, y greater than 3 would be letter B. Number 6, distributive property. We have to remember how to distribute. It's similar to number 3. So if we go ahead and distribute the 6 and distribute the 5, we're going to repeat the same process we did there. So let's go ahead and write down what we get. We get 6r from this, negative 30 from 6 times negative 5. Bring down my inequality symbol. Now, 5 times 7 is 35. And 5 times a negative 2r is negative 10r. I can go ahead and add 10r on both sides. Therefore, I get 16r on this side. Bring down my negative 30, my inequality symbol, and my 35. Now I can add 30 on both sides. Therefore, I get 65 is greater than 16r. Last step is to do the opposite of what they're doing here, which is division. So r is less than 65 over 16. Therefore, the answer should be A. Determining which point is a solution for the equation. So we can go ahead and pick any of these points. I already know what the answer is. I think the answer is B, if I remember correctly. Negative 1, just negative 3 minus. No, I think the answer is C. 2 times the 6 minus 1 is 5. Yeah. So the answer is A, actually. Sorry, I'm doing mental math. I don't have the answers in front of me. So the answer is actually A. Correct answer is A. Sorry about that. So correct answer is A. Why is it correct answer A? Because when you plug in this ordered pair 2, 5, you get a true statement, and I'll show you what I mean by that. My x value is 2 and my y value is 5. So therefore I'm going to go ahead and substitute into my equation. 5 is equal to, and I'm plugging in the 5 in here and the 2 in here. So 3 times 2 minus 1. Well, 3 times 2 is 6. And 6 minus 1 is 5. Therefore, this is a true statement. So the correct answer is A. Similar here, we go ahead and plug in our answer. I believe the answer is, I think the answer is going to be minus, so let's see, 0, 3. Yeah, the answer is C. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in my answer. I think that's the answer, so let's prove it. If it's true, then I should get a true statement. My x value is 0, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in for x 0. My y is 3, so I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. And it's all supposed to equal to 3. Negative 2 times 0 is just 0. And 3 plus 0 is just 3. Therefore, I get a true statement similar to number 7. So that's why that answer is that. Let's go ahead and do number 9. I want to say the answer here is negative 6, 4, negative 2, so that is negative 1, negative 3, minus 4. The answer is B, and I'll prove it to you. So my x value is negative 2 and my y value is negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and substitute. Negative 2 goes in for the x. My negative 1 goes in for the y, and it's supposed to equal negative 7. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 3 times a negative 1 is negative 3. And minus 4 and a minus 3 make a negative 7. Sorry for rushing, but then again, you can go ahead and pause these videos, right? That does it for part 1. I'm going to start a new video, and I'm going to call that part 2 for test correction so that I can continue with number 10.